The stars above the Kari system were quiet, but the silence was full of fear. Broken ships drifted slowly, their lights dead, their crews already gone. Below them, the blue-green world of Lethra waited, wounded and alone. Fires burned across its continents, and the sky glowed with the red marks of enemy strikes. For the people of Lethra, this was the end of hope. Admiral J stood on the command deck of the Allied flagship, his hands resting on the cold rail. His dark eyes watched the tactical screen as enemy symbols multiplied. Each red mark meant another warship closing in. They were everywhere now, forming a wide ring around the planet. There was no path left to run. Behind him, Commander Hannah worked silently at her station. Her fingers moved with calm skill, even though her face was pale. She had sent the same request for help again and again, knowing the answer would not change. The Galaxy Council had already spoken. Sue, the fleet analyst, broke the silence. Admiral, enemy forces will begin full orbital attack in less than 1 hour. Jay nodded slowly. He had expected it. Any message from the Council? Hannah shook her head. Nothing new. Their last signal confirmed withdrawal. They say this system has no strategic value. No strategic value. The words burned deeper than any weapon. Millions of lives reduced to numbers and lines on a map. Jay turned away from the screen and looked at his crew. They were tired, wounded, but still standing. Send evacuation orders to the surface shelters, he said. All remaining civilians must go underground. Yes, Admiral, Hannah replied, her voice steady even as her eyes shone with fear. Across the deck, Captain Day leaned against a console, his arm wrapped in a medical band. We'll hold them as long as we can, he said. But our ships won't last. Jay knew this already. Their fleet was small, made of ships from many species, each built with different systems, different rules. They had fought together for years under the promise of shared protection. That promise was now broken. Outside the viewport, space lit up as the first enemy shots struck the outer defense line. One Allied cruiser vanished in a flash of white light. The shockwave rippled across nearby ships. They're starting early, Sue said quietly. Jay closed his eyes for a brief moment. He remembered stories from his youth, tales told in low voices about humans from Earth. Humans who had once stood at the center of the galaxy, feared and respected. Humans who left after the Council turned against them during a forgotten war. A junior officer, Mira, spoke without looking up from her station. Admiral, should we try contacting Earth? Several heads turned toward her. The name felt heavy in the air. Hannah answered first. There has been no human response for generations. Their space is closed. Their fleets are gone. Mira swallowed. I know. But if there is even a small chance. Jay studied her face. She was young, too young to remember the old wars. Send it, he said at last. A single message. No request. Just the truth. Hannah hesitated, then nodded. She began to record. This is Admiral J of the Allied Fleet, she said. The Kari system has been abandoned by the Galaxy Council. Enemy forces are preparing to destroy a civilian world. We are making our last stand. She ended the message and sent it into the dark, toward the distant region marked only as Earth space. No one expected an answer. The battle grew worse by the minute. Enemy ships pushed forward, cutting through the outer line. Explosions painted space with fire. Allied pilots fought bravely, but they were outnumbered 10-1. On Lethra's surface, civilians watched the sky from shelter screens. Parents held their children close. Elders whispered prayers in languages older than the stars. Everyone waited for the final blow. Back on the flagship, alarms screamed as the hull shook. Shields at 40%, Sue reported. We've lost 3 more ships. Jay straightened his back. All remaining vessels form close defense around the planet. We protect the shelters as long as we breathe. One by one, voices answered his call. Not with fear, but with quiet loyalty. Yes, Admiral. For Lethra. We stand. The enemy flagship moved into position, massive and dark, its weapons glowing. This was the end. Hannah opened a private channel to Jay. "Sir, I'm sorry." Jay gave a small smile. "You did everything right." The enemy fired. At that moment, space changed. A deep vibration rolled across every sensor, like a distant cry carried through metal and bone. The enemy beams faltered. The stars themselves seemed to twist. Sue's eyes widened. "Admiral, I'm detecting a massive energy surge. Warp distortion, extreme levels." "From where?" Jay asked. "From outside the system," Sue replied. "No, it's inside. It just appeared." The main screen shifted. A shape emerged from the darkness, vast and solid, wrapped in rippling waves of light. It did not explode into space. It arrived as if space had opened to let it through. The sound followed, a low, powerful howl that echoed through every ship. It was not noise, but pressure, a force that made even enemy vessels drift back in fear. Mira whispered, "What is that?" Hannah's console flooded with data. Old records unlocked themselves, sealed files waking from long sleep. Her breath caught. "It's human," she said. "A warship. Origin, Earth." The enemy fleet froze. Weapons powered down as confusion spread across their lines. The human warship moved forward, slow and calm. Its hull was marked with symbols older than the Council itself. Scars from ancient battles lined its surface, but its power burned bright. A transmission spread across all channels, clear and steady. "This system is under human protection." Jay felt his chest tighten. Around him, his crew stared in silence, fear slowly turning into disbelief. The howl faded, but its echo remained, rolling across the galaxy like a promise. For the first time since the Council's betrayal, hope returned. The human warship moved deeper into the Kari system, its massive form calm and steady. Around it, space felt different, heavy, as if the laws of war had changed. Allied ships pulled back without orders, giving the newcomer room. No one wanted to be in its path. Admiral Jay watched in silence. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of what he was seeing. A human ship, from Earth, after all these years. Commander Hannah scanned the vessel again and again. "Its energy output is stable," she said. "No shield fluctuation, no weapon charge spikes. It's not reacting to enemy targeting." Captain Day let out a slow breath. "It doesn't need to." Across the battlefield, the enemy fleet hesitated. Their formation broke as smaller ships drifted away from the human warship's path. The enemy flagship sent rapid commands trying to regain control. Sue spoke softly, his eyes fixed on the data streams. "Enemy weapons are locked on the human ship, but they're not firing." "Why?" Mira asked. Sue swallowed. "Because they're afraid." The human warship finally acted. It adjusted its position, placing itself between the enemy fleet and the planet. One ship, one wall. A new transmission opened, directed only to the Allied fleet. The voice was calm, human, and clear. "This is Captain Yoon of the Earth Warship Guardian," the voice said. "Allied forces, fall back and hold position. We will take the front." Jay straightened. "This is Admiral Jay. We are honored. Do you require support?" There was a short pause before Yoon replied. "Negative. Protect your people. We will handle the rest." The channel closed. No threats, no long speech, just confidence. The enemy flagship finally fired. A beam of bright energy struck the human warship head-on. Every Allied crew held their breath. The beam hit the hull and vanished, absorbed as if it had never existed. "No damage," Hannah said, her voice barely above a whisper. The human warship answered. There was no flash, no loud blast. Space bent inward, and one enemy cruiser simply folded, crushed by invisible force. It broke apart without fire, without sound. Another enemy ship tried to flee. A thin line of light touched its engines, and it drifted dead, power gone. The battlefield changed in seconds. Enemy ships began firing wildly, but nothing reached its target. Missiles curved away. Beams lost shape. The human warship controlled the space around it like a living thing. On Lethera, Shelter screens showed the battle. People stared in shock. Children who had been crying fell silent. Elders leaned closer, unable to believe what they saw. "Who are they?" someone whispered. "They are humans," another replied. "From Earth." Back in orbit, the enemy flagship tried a new tactic. It opened a channel to the human ship. "This system is under Galaxy Council authority," the enemy commander said. "Withdraw immediately." Captain Yun's response was cold. "The Council abandoned this system. Authority means nothing here." "You are violating galactic law," the enemy insisted. Yun replied, "We remember what happens when laws are used to excuse silence." The channel closed. The human warship advanced. One by one, enemy vessels were disabled, destroyed, or forced to retreat. The Guardian did not chase fleeing ships. It only removed threats. Su stared at the tactical map. "They're not fighting to win territory," he said. "They're fighting to end the battle." Jay nodded. "That is the human way." Minutes passed. The enemy fleet was broken. What remained pulled back beyond firing range. A deep silence filled the system. Cheers broke out across the Allied ships, but Jay raised his hand. "Hold position," he said. "This is not over." As if answering him, new signals appeared at the edge of the system. Dozens, then hundreds. Hannah's breath caught. Multiple warp signatures. Human design. The stars flickered as more human ships arrived. Cruisers, carriers, support vessels. They formed a wide arc behind the Guardian, powerful and quiet. Mira whispered, "A fleet." "Yes," Day said. "A human fleet." A wide transmission spread across the system. "This is the Earth Defense Fleet," Yun announced. "To all hostile forces, withdraw now. This is your final warning." The enemy did not answer. They fired everything they had left. The human fleet responded as one. Space filled with controlled force. Enemy ships vanished in flashes of light and silent collapses. The battle ended quickly. When it was done, nothing hostile remained. On Lethra, the sky cleared. Fire still burned, but the bombardment had stopped. For the first time in days, the planet was safe. Admiral J opened a channel to the Guardian. "On behalf of Lethra and the Allied fleet," he said, "thank you." Captain Yun's face appeared on the screen. His expression was calm, but his eyes were hard with old memory. "You sent the truth," he said. "Earth listens to the truth." "What happens now?" Jay asked. Yun looked past the camera toward the planet below. "Now," he said, "we make sure no one is abandoned again." The human fleet moved into defensive formation around Lethra. Far away, in the halls of the Galaxy Council, alarms began to ring. Humanity had returned. The human fleet settled into orbit around Lethra like a wall of silent guardians. Their ships did not move much, but their presence filled the system. Sensors across the Allied fleet showed stable power, calm control, and weapons ready but quiet. It was not the behavior of conquerors. It was the behavior of protectors. Admiral J stood on the command deck, watching the planet below. Smoke still rose from damaged cities, but the enemy was gone. For the first time since the war began, there were no alarms. Commander Hannah continued to study the human fleet. "Their coordination is perfect," she said. "No wasted movement. No open channels." Captain Day nodded. "They act like they've done this many times before." Su adjusted his display. "I'm detecting repair drones launching from human carriers. They're moving toward the planet and our damaged ships." Jay turned sharply. "They're helping without being asked." On Lethra's surface, people watched the sky as small lights descended like falling stars. Human machines moved through ruined streets, lifting debris, sealing broken structures, and guiding survivors to safe zones. The drones did not speak, but their actions were gentle and precise. In one shelter, a young woman named Era held her injured brother close. She watched as a human medical drone scanned him and applied treatment. His breathing slowed, his pain eased. "They came," she whispered. "They really came." Back in orbit, a formal signal arrived from the Galaxy Council. It was marked urgent and carried priority codes older than the current war. Hannah looked at Jay. The council is requesting immediate communication. Jay's jaw tightened. Open the channel. Record everything. The image of council speaker Ren appeared. His tone was smooth, controlled. Admiral Jay, this situation has escalated beyond expectation. The presence of Earth forces was unforeseen. Jay said nothing. Ren continued. The council proposes an emergency ceasefire and joint control of the Kari system until stability is restored. Before Jay could answer, a second signal joined the channel. Captain Yoon appeared, calm as ever. There will be no joint control, Yoon said. You abandoned this system. Ren frowned. Captain Yoon, Earth has no legal claim here. Yoon replied, Earth has a moral one. The council speaker's eyes hardened. The galaxy cannot function on emotion. Yoon leaned forward slightly. Then the galaxy has forgotten what keeps it alive. The channel closed. Silence filled the command deck. They didn't even look at us, Day said quietly. Jay shook his head. They looked. They just chose not to see. Hours passed. Human engineers worked alongside Allied crews. Systems were restored faster than anyone thought possible. Food, power, and medical support flowed freely. Mira walked through one of the human ships with wide eyes. The halls were simple, worn, and marked with symbols of past battles. This was not a fleet built for show. It was built to last. She met a human officer named Sun at a junction. He nodded politely. You're safe here. Mira smiled. Thank you for coming. Sun paused. We didn't come because you asked, he said. We came because you were left behind. Elsewhere in the system, faint signals stirred. Su noticed them first. Admiral, he said. I'm detecting long-range movement. Enemy remnants regrouping beyond the system. Jay frowned. They're not finished. Captain Yun's voice came over the channel. We know, he said. They're calling for help. Hannah's eyes widened. From where? Yoon answered. From an older power. One that believes humans should still be gone. The words sent a chill through the deck. Soon, dark shapes appeared at the edge of sensor range. Larger than the enemy ships before. Slower. Heavier. They're not council fleets, Su said. Different design. Unknown origin. Jay felt tension return. Can we hold? Yoon replied without hesitation. Yes. The human fleet adjusted formation. Not to retreat but to anchor. Ships locked positions, creating layers of defense. On Lethera, people were moved deeper underground as a safety measure. But there was no panic this time. The humans were above them. The unknown fleet entered the system and sent a message. Earth, the voice said, ancient and cold. You were warned to stay silent. Yoon responded calmly. You mistook our silence for weakness. The enemy advanced. The battle was different this time. The enemy used heavy force, brute power meant to overwhelm. Entire regions of space warped under pressure. The human fleet held. Ships absorbed blows, redirected force, and responded with careful strikes. They did not rush. They endured. Jay watched as one human cruiser took a direct hit meant to destroy it. The ship bent but did not break. It returned fire and disabled 3 enemy vessels. They're not faster, Day said. They're stronger. The unknown enemy began to lose ground. Their formations cracked. Then a single massive weapon charged, aimed directly at Lethera. Planet killer, Su whispered. Before anyone could react, the Guardian moved. It placed itself between the weapon and the planet. Energy slammed into its hull. The ship shook, but it did not move. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the Guardian fired. The enemy weapon collapsed inward, tearing its own fleet apart. The remaining ships fled. The battle ended. On the command deck, no one spoke. Captain Yoon opened a channel to Jay. His face showed strain, but his voice was steady. This is why we came back, he said. Not to rule. To stand where others won't. Jay bowed his head. The galaxy will remember this. Yoon shook his head. We don't need them to. Below, Lethera lived. and across the stars old powers began to fear humanity once more. The days after the second battle were quiet, but the quiet did not feel empty. Human ships remained in orbit, steady and alert. Their presence gave the system a sense of safety that no council fleet had ever given before. Trade lanes reopened. Rescue crews worked without fear of sudden attack. Admiral J met daily with Captain Yoon through secure channels. Their talks were short and clear. Humans did not waste words. "We will stay until the system can defend itself," Yoon said during one call. "After that, we will leave Guardians behind." Jay nodded. "The Council will not like that." Yun's expression did not change. "They don't have to." On Lethra, reconstruction began. Human engineers worked beside local workers. They taught without pride and listened without judgment. Simple machines repaired power lines and water systems. Food shipments arrived from human carriers, enough for months. A woman named Nari helped guide people through a rebuilt shelter. She watched human medics treat patients with calm focus. "They don't ask for payment," she said to a friend. "They don't even ask for thanks." Her friend replied, "Maybe this is how real help looks." Far from Lethra, the Galaxy Council gathered in emergency session. The chamber was full, but the mood was thin and sharp. Council Speaker Ren stood at the center, facing many angry voices. "They violated our authority," one delegate said. "They brought war back into the open. They saved a system you abandoned," another replied. Ren raised his hands. "Order. The issue is control. Earth cannot act without oversight." A delegate named Kyo leaned forward. "Oversight? You withdrew protection. You cut communications. What oversight was that?" Ren's face hardened. "Humanity is dangerous when unchecked." Kyo answered, "So is a council that chooses comfort over lives." The debate spread across the chamber, dividing old allies. Some feared humans. Others feared being abandoned next. Back in the Kari system, Su detected a council fleet approaching. Not hostile, but heavy with authority codes. "They're here," he said. "Council observers." Admiral J informed Captain Yoon. "Let them watch," Yoon replied. The council fleet arrived and held position at long range. They did not move closer. A council envoy requested a meeting on neutral ground. Yoon agreed, choosing a small station above Lethra. The meeting room was simple. Captain Yoon entered first, followed by a human officer named Rena. Admiral J joined them. Moments later, Speaker Ren appeared on a hollow display. "You have created instability," Ren said without greeting. Yoon sat down calmly. "We stopped a war you refused to fight." Ren replied, "You acted without permission." Rena spoke softly. "Permission was asked for. It was denied." Ren turned to Jay. "Admiral, you are a council officer. You know the rules." Jay met his gaze. "I know the cost of following them." Silence filled the room. Ren changed tone. "Earth is invited to rejoin the council. With conditions." Yoon smiled slightly. "We remember the last time conditions were offered." "What do you want?" Ren asked. Yoon answered, "A simple truth. Any world abandoned by the council may request human protection. Without interference." "That would weaken us," Ren said. Yoon replied, "It would strengthen the galaxy." The meeting ended without agreement. Days later, news spread fast. Other systems began to send quiet messages to Earth space. "Not please." Records. Proof of neglect. Mira helped organize the data. "They're scared," she said. "But hopeful." Captain Day watched the growing list. "Hope is dangerous," he said. "It demands action." The human fleet adjusted again. Smaller task groups prepared to move. On the Guardian, Captain Yoon addressed his crew. "We are not conquerors," he said. "We are witnesses. If we are called, we will stand." The ships departed in different directions, leaving a few Guardians behind. The Council reacted with warnings and threats, but none were enforced. On Lethra, life returned slowly. Children played under open skies. Markets reopened. At night, people looked up and saw human lights still watching. Era stood with her brother, now healed. Do you think they will leave? He asked. Someday, she said. But not before we are ready. In deep space, an old power watched human movements with growing fear. Messages were sent. Alliances tested. Plans made. Sue detected strange signals one night. Long-range coordination, he said. Multiple regions. Yoon listened to the report. They're forming something, he said. A response. Admiral J felt the weight of the coming storm. Will Earth stand alone? Yoon shook his head. Not this time. Across the galaxy, quiet worlds began to choose. And the Council realized too late that the age of silent abandonment was ending. The galaxy did not change in one moment. Changed slowly, then all at once. After the human fleet spread out, messages continued to arrive in Earth space. They came from small systems, border worlds, and forgotten colonies. Each message was the same in nature. Records of abandonment. Proof of silence. Worlds that had followed Council law and still been left to burn. Captain Yoon reviewed them with quiet focus. He did not answer all of them. He answered enough. Human task groups moved with care. They did not take control. They stood between danger and life. In some systems, the threat faded at the sight of human ships alone. In others, war followed. When war came, it ended quickly. On Lethra, Admiral J watched the changes from orbit. The system was stable now. Local defense ships trained under human guidance. Not commands, but lessons. Commander Hannah stood beside him. They're learning fast, she said. They have to, Jay replied. Humans won't stay forever. Hannah hesitated. Do you think the Council will accept this? Jay looked toward the distant stars. The Council doesn't have to accept it. They have to survive it. Far away, the Galaxy Council chamber filled again. But this time, the seats were not full. Some delegates did not come. Others had left the Council entirely. Speaker Rin stood before a smaller crowd. His voice lacked its old strength. Earth's actions threaten galactic balance. A delegate named Tay replied calmly. No. Earth revealed its absence. Rin clenched his hands. They are building loyalty. They are earning it, Tay said. Reports arrived during the session. Another system had refused Council orders and accepted human protection. Another border fleet had stood down rather than face Earth ships. Fear spread, not of humans but of irrelevance. Meanwhile, the old power that had attacked Lethra did not forget. In deep space, its leaders gathered. They believed in force, not memory. They believed humanity was still too few. A massive fleet was formed in secret, larger than any before. Its target was clear. Earth. The warning came from an unexpected source. Sue detected unusual data hidden inside an old Council network. He brought it to Jay at once. They're coming, Sue said. Everything they have. Jay contacted Captain Yoon. Earth is the target. Yoon was silent for a moment. Then he said, We expected this. Across human space, alarms did not ring. Preparations were already in place. Fleets turned inward, forming defensive layers around Earth and key systems. For the first time in centuries, Earth opened its channels to the galaxy. This is Earth, the message said. We did not return to rule. We returned to stand. If you believe in that, stand with us. No demands were made. The response surprised everyone. Ships arrived. Not fleets but single vessels. From worlds humans had saved. From systems that remembered who came when hope was gone. They took positions beside human ships. On Lethra, people watched as allied ships departed to join Earth's defense. Era stood with her brother again, older now, stronger. They're going to help, he said. Era nodded. Because someone helped us. The enemy fleet entered known space like a storm. The size of it shook old records. Council forces pulled back, unwilling to fight. Earth did not. The final battle took place far from civilian worlds. Humans chose the field. Empty space. No lives to shield but their own. Admiral J watched the battle from a command link. His breath held. Human fleets formed wide lines, layered and calm. Allied ships filled the gaps. The enemy attacked with overwhelming force. Human ships absorbed the first wave. Shields flared. Hulls burned. Some ships were lost. They did not retreat. Captain Yun's voice carried across the fleet. Hold. Protect each other. The battle became a test of endurance. Hours passed. Space filled with wreckage. Then humans changed tactics. The Guardian moved forward again, just as it had at Lethra. Others followed. Human ships did not chase. They advanced together. The enemy fleet broke against them. When it was over, nothing remained but silence. The galaxy watched. The old power was gone. Broken not by numbers but by unity it did not expect. In the aftermath, Earth sent one final message. We will not govern the galaxy, it said, but we will remember it. If you abandon each other, we will not abandon you. The Galaxy Council dissolved quietly. Some worlds formed new alliances. Others stood alone but wiser. On Lethra, Admiral J prepared to step down. The system no longer needed him. Hannah joined him at the viewport. They're leaving, she said, watching the last human Guardian ship depart. Yes, Jay said. But now we know they exist. Hannah smiled softly. When the galaxy forgets us again. They won't, Jay replied. Humans remember. Far away, Earth's fleets returned to silence. Not hiding, waiting. And across the stars, a new truth settled into history. Help had come, and it would come again.